So what exactly happened here today?
Okay, there was an application put in to the High Court for an injunction to stop the vaccination rollout to affect children under 19 years of age of any compulsory nature. Another problem arose 2 days ago, which I'm only going to release in a moment, so you may as well have it first at hand, is they're trying to produce a new bill. They created the bill in December and kept it quiet. Now all of a sudden it's pertinent for them to come up with a new bill. It'll be the worst one in Australia. It's a compulsory jab for anyone in Canberra that wishes to work or attend any place. It's not comprehensive, so it's the initial bill, but it would mean that it would be the end of this type of protest in Canberra. And it'll be the end of our ability to even be in groups of more than two in Canberra. But I spoke to Sultan National Press Club today, and I spoke to a couple of people, lawyers over here, so I've asked them for advice. And they have said they're not even been made aware of it. So when you try and bring in a bill that radical, it usually allows for public consultation. So there's been no public consultation at all. So they're going to try and ram it through, and then people will try and overcome it. But at that stage, that would be the end of this type of protest, and that would mean that everyone in Canberra would have to line up. And there's no age limitations on the bill at this stage, so that would mean that every man, woman and child in Canberra will have to be double jabbed, right, in the next month or two, against their will. And it's mandatory. It's not compulsory, it's mandatory. In other words, if you say no to it, they'll be able to use force if needed to inject people. That's what the bill says. As to whether it gets through, we don't know. But obviously, at this later notice, the best we can do is consider an injunction, and then I'll be meeting with some people tonight to see whether we can put an injunction in the High Court to stop that. Otherwise, from the 28th of February, we're out of here. And anyone that comes to Canberra will need to be double jabbed.
Right. Do you think that if they pass this bill, that's the official end of democracy?
The democracy failed and died a long time ago, my friend. I've been fighting for it for a long time. They've given us a skerrick democracy with a very watered-down vote and made sure that most people have no idea how to use that vote effectively. And that's what I'm here to do, try and educate people how they can best use what little power they have.
Right.
Obviously, you know, if we use our vote correctly, we could look at double dissolution and have a chance to kick them all out. Very credible if we use our vote properly. Not abandon it, but use it properly, and I'll be doing lots of speeches on that. And the other opportunity is to use the 1 million people who will be here Saturday, or whatever number it might be, to push possibly the Governor-General to act, because the government's acting outside the constitutional protections. In other words, they're not upholding the Constitution, which is a valid reason to demand. But I would suspect that the Governor-General will do what the Parliament tell him. He won't be doing what the people tell him, which is a shame. So I don't know where we go from here.
Right.
But I'm not going to be going wherever it is, laying down. I'll be doing it on my feet. And so that's what we will do.
If people want to come in and help and put pressure on, what's the best thing for them to do?
The rally on Saturday is the best thing. And it's a numbers game. Politics is a numbers game. But I don't think the government hear us anymore. I don't think they fear us anymore. And they need to fear us, right? And the way it used to be done was with your vote. Now it needs to be done in massive bloody numbers of very angry people and their vote as backup. But we have to stop this. See, the problem is this. If we effectively were able to stop the mandate tomorrow, we're still leaving in place a situation and a government that could do this again to us with the drop of a hat. And that has to stop. We have constitutional protections in this country, and they must be upheld. There's no state of emergency in this country that should overwhelm the constitutional values, even in wartime, is my opinion. And they're using wartime laws. These emergency laws, this national cabinet, are fake, they're false, they're illegal, and they're invalid. It's been proven in the High Court already. And they're hiding behind that so that you don't know what they're doing. And democracy does not work when the people don't know what its government's doing. It can't work. It's just not credible. And so democracy fails immediately when they have a national cabinet that won't tell you what they're doing and who they're meeting and who's telling them what to do. We need to know. And if it's a genuine public health emergency, then there's no need to hide anything. Right? And then when they need to hide stuff and when the media need to disinform people, then you know everyone is lying that's involved, and if someone's lying, they shouldn't be in politics.
And the National Cabinet has been deemed to be unconstitutional.
It is unconstitutional.
By the Federal Court Justice.
Yes.
Last year.
Yeah. We put a lot of pressure on that. The first piece of legislation, if you want to know, the National Cabinet's first piece of legislation they put out, right, was firstly to amend the Poisons Act to enable the distribution of something that could be a poison. That's exactly the truth.
Saw that.
The second thing they did was they amended the Labelling Act so that you didn't get the package insert to read beforehand. In other words, they took away the ability to make an informed decision. And then if you place on social media copies of the insert, it's highly probable that big tech will step in and get rid of it as well. So this is not a war against the government anymore and the media, which I've been battling for years. This is a momentous occasion because people can clearly see right now that not only are the politicians ignorant and the media ignorant, but big tech is stepping in to support this. And if you look wider than that, because I've got connections in lots of countries, this is happening in every country in the world. So the conspiracy theory of a one world government is not a conspiracy any longer, because every government is doing exactly the same thing at exactly the same time in every single country against their constitutional values, including the US. And even though the US courts have determined that mandates are illegal, they're still operating mandates over there. So it doesn't matter what the people do or what laws we have to protect us, they're ignorant of them. And this is a moment in time, it's not a moment in time for anyone to lay down. Even those that think the vaccination protects them and have had it and believe they've made an informed decision, this is not a time to lay down. Everybody should be here in Canberra and they should be supporting it, because the right to choose being taken from you means they can do other things to you anytime they fucking feel like it, any way they like, and there'll be nothing you can do. And so this is a pertinent moment in history. And to think that we could go through all of this and at the end nothing changed would be just disgraceful. And so we have to just fight as best we can. And these people going to the High Court, that I didn't see the application. It might have been a shocking application. It might have been pathetic for all I know. But it don't matter. They gave it a go. And you know what you should be ashamed of? You've got a heap of senators in there, a heap of senators, some telling you they're for your free choice. Have any of them filed in the High Court for the constitutional section 5123A? Have any of them? No. And that's what they're meant to do. The senators aren't sure, or there's an argument. The High Court is the adjudicator for the Senate. Now, not one of them. So if you're sitting in the Senate right now, you can get fucked, right? I'm sorry. You can I'm going to use that language. You can get fucked because you're a lazy arsehole, or you don't know what you're meant to be doing, and you shouldn't be there. Because it should be in the High Court. Because the High Court would not uphold a mandate, and they would definitely not uphold compulsory. My opinion. And if they did, then we're in the worst trouble we've ever been in. That means that the High Court's compromised, and therefore the complete separation of powers is a waste of time, and then we'll have to come to, I don't know, bare arms or some shit. You don't want to see that in this country, but if you're at war, you've got to win it. But at this stage, we're all trying, fighting, and anyone watching, if all this sort of fails, you've got one vote, mate. Make sure your vote counts. Make sure you know how to fill that ballot paper, and make sure you control that ballot paper getting from your hands, marked by you, into a ballot box. And do not go through the postal system, and do not do anything else. And you make sure 100% that you put the parties that are in there now not looking after you, put them last. They'll probably still get your vote, but at least you can send these bastards a message.
That's extremely well said. Thank you so much.
No worries.